Hey, what's up guys, I hope you're all doing well and having a great day so far. So I thought for this video I would share my thoughts on the upcoming Alien and Predator movies, which unfortunately I haven't been able to cover when the news about them first broke, which I'll explain why a little bit later on towards the end of the video. But I thought now I'd make a video talking about the upcoming Alien and Predator movies. So we actually have a trailer for the upcoming Alien film and rumours of not one but two Predator films, so right now it is a pretty exciting time to be an Alien and Predator fan. So let's begin with Alien Romulus, which is the one we have the most info about. I have watched the trailer, and while it is very brief and doesn't give too much away, it does look to keep the same kind of vibe and aesthetic as the original Alien from 1979, as well as Alien Isolation, with the ship interiors having a lot of retro-futuristic technology as well as that sterile, clinical look. Something that actually surprised me was the title of the film. It is actually called Alien Romulus, and that's not just a code name or a working title like I assumed it was. Kind of like how Prey was known as Skulls before it was officially announced, but no, Alien Romulus is in fact the name of the film. Also in the trailer is a release date, which is the 16th of August of this year, and the film is going to be a theatrical release and not a direct to streaming platform release, which was rumoured, especially after Alien Covenant I believe didn't do too well in the cinema, and how Prey from 2022 released on a streaming platform and did really well. From what is shown in the trailer, it looks to hopefully focus on the horror aspect while having some action but not going too crazy with it. It showed some action, but hopefully that was just to spice up the trailer and to get the normie casual audience on board. What I would hope for would be a film paced similarly to how the original film and Prometheus were, where it introduces things a bit slower but while building the characters and intrigue, and then later the action can begin, but without being boring like how I found Covenant to be. We see a few quick shots of a xenomorph as well as a bunch of facehuggers chasing after someone. I thought it looked like there was a lot of CGI, even though the filmmakers have reportedly said that they are putting the emphasis on practical for the special effects, so hopefully that's just the shots they chose for this announcement trailer. The film is, I believe, directed and written by Fede Alvarez, whose work I'm not familiar with. He's directed Don't Breathe and The Evil Dead, but I haven't seen either of those films, but make sure to let me know in the comments if they are any good if you've seen them. I'm not necessarily a horror fan per se, but I do enjoy when it is mixed with another genre like sci-fi, so while I haven't seen his other films, if he is known as a horror director, then I think that could work well for an Alien film. The film's also said to be produced by Ridley Scott, which I'm kinda mixed about. On the one hand, he directed the original, but then he also did the prequels, which do divide me, as I liked Prometheus, but not necessarily where the story went, but more as a film in and of itself. But then on the other hand, I wasn't a fan of Covenant really at all. It was a film I was really excited for, but when I finally saw it, I was nearly falling asleep during it. On another note, something I'm looking forward to doing is reviewing all the Alien movies, as I remember doing that on the lead up to Prey coming out with the Predator films, and I had a lot of fun making those reviews. I'll have a link to them in a card or in the description or something like that for you. But back to Scott producing. They also may just be using that for marketing, like how they said James Cameron produced Terminator Dark Fate, and that movie was terrible, and I think it turned out Cameron actually had next to nothing to do with the creation of it. So I take that claim with a pinch of salt nowadays. I'm actually kinda surprised how they seem to be going all in on this film, as I honestly thought Alien was kind of a dead franchise at this point, as they had an unfinished trilogy, and it's been like, 6-7 years since the last movie? So it is cool to see that we are at least getting a full fat film that's going to be shown in the cinema and everything. There aren't many plot or story details revealed yet, but it is said to be set on a space station or a ship or something which has two modules, one called Romulus and one called Remus, and obviously Romulus is the one which the film itself is named after. I wonder if they're planning on a follow-up called Alien Remus perhaps? It is set 10 years after the first Alien film, so it is a sequel to that as well as the two prequels, but not directly I believe, so I wonder if anything from Prometheus or Covenant will be referenced, or if they'll try to distance it from those two and just try to keep it more in line with the originals. We have been told the weapon the main character is holding is a predecessor to the pulse rifle from Aliens, further showing how the film is set in the time period between Alien and Aliens, which is an idea I actually do like the sound of, and is like what they did with the Alien Isolation game. And lastly, regarding Alien Romulus, there is a movie poster for the film. It's kinda meh to be honest if you ask me, very plain and a very CGI looking xenomorph at the top. Not really impressed I have to say, not a big deal but it is what it is. I will also briefly mention the upcoming Alien TV series directed by Noah Hawley as well. Although there aren't many new developments, it is said to have resumed production earlier this year, as it was on hold due to the writers' strike. Not much, but it looks to still be in the pipeline. So now on to Predator. Now this really is interesting, as we have a rumoured 2 movies to both be in production, which is kind of a first, as there haven't been 2 Predator films being developed simultaneously, with both being talked about at the same time. In fact, Prey was in the very early stages of production while The Predator was wrapping up its production, but at the time of The Predator coming out, Prey wasn't known about to anyone but those working on it. So whether you wanted a direct sequel to Prey or a different film entirely, then you're in luck either way, as there is apparently a Prey 2, as well as an entirely new film that is being called Predator Badlands. So speaking first about Prey 2, there isn't much info about this one other than it is a direct sequel to the last movie Prey, and Amber Midthunder is supposed to return. This would be a first, as the main character from a Predator film has never returned to reprise their role in a sequel. Personally, I think Predator films work best as anthologies, and it's the way I prefer it as well. I like how each one has its own self-contained story within the wider Predator movie universe. I'm not really sure where they could take a direct sequel anyway, as yes, we do have the ships approaching and the cave painting right at the end, but even then, what can you really do except a full-on war between Predators and Comanches, or a rehash of the first Prey? I'll say I am skeptical about the idea, but we'll have to wait and see until we have more information. So talking about Badlands, it is rumoured to take place in the future, which is something I like, as I have always wanted a Predator movie set in the future and in space, which was where they were supposed to be taking AVP3, but as we all know, that film never saw the light of day. Surprisingly, it is actually this film that is being directed by Dan Trachtenberg instead of Prey 2, which is surprising. Although I did have mixed feelings about Prey, I would say that it was directed and shot well. Something they've been quick to confirm is that, like Prey, the movie will also star a female lead. I mean, fine, I do like female characters and I also like male characters. I don't really care whether the lead is male or female, so long as they're a well written and acted character. I don't really see why this is something the filmmakers and these media reporters feel like it's something that has to be shouted from the rooftops as if it's this super original, groundbreaking thing, even though it's one of the most accepted and normalised things in cinema, and has been for 40 years now at least. I do find it quite odd behaviour. So long as it's not done in a woke way, practically no one has a problem with female leads, but Hollywood and the media all seem to think it's a massive deal that no one's ever done before. I'll say it again, like I said while waiting for Prey, is that I'd like the Predator to win for once, or at least survive. I won't go on too much about this point, as it's been said so many times, but if the Predator loses every single movie, then he isn't really the Predator, is he? So with the movie news and my thoughts on them covered, I'd like to round off the video with a bit of a channel update. I want to say thank you to you all for helping me reach 10,000 subscribers, which is an amazing milestone and one I honestly didn't think I'd ever reach. When I started, I was hoping for 1,000, but I never thought 10,000 would be possible, and it's all because of everyone who watches the videos, leaves likes and comments on them, so thank you all ever so much for that. It really does mean a lot to me. Also, April marks the channel's 3rd anniversary, which I can't believe either, that it's been that long since I started. If you're a regular viewer of mine, you may have noticed I haven't been uploading quite as often as normal, and that is down to a number of things, but mostly because I've been moving house and having to sort out everything that comes with doing that, as well as working a regular job as well as doing YouTube to make a living. So between all that stuff going on, I just hadn't had as much time to make videos as normal, which is what I was talking about earlier when I said I hadn't had time to cover the news about these new movies when the news first came out a month or so back. But now I am happy to say that things should be back to normal, so I should be able to make videos more regularly now, and I do appreciate all of your support and patience throughout. You are a really awesome audience, and I wanted to take the time to thank you all for helping to get the channel to where it is today. So I think I'll end this one here. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll catch you next time.